atoms spin, the Earth spins. Turning and rotation is extremely important, and I've always been interested in that from everything I've done from electronic music, where you combine sine waves. Again, the sine wave, which is created by turning, you add up different sine waves together and you get different sounds. You add them up in a certain way, you get the sound of a violin. You add them up in another way, you get the sound of a piano. You add them up in another way, you get the sound of my voice. All from these very basic, basically signatures of rotations. So I decided I wanted to play with rotation and play with shifting rotations. It's a little sort of game where you set up a phase shift, where you have things synchronized and then you let them slowly go out of sync by having them each at a different speed. So what happens in the piece is, at certain moments, all of the shafts hanging from the ceiling are rotating in perfect synchronization, but in fact they're all going at a slightly different speed in a very precise way, which means that from the state of being completely together, completely coherent and kind of solid-like, they start to melt into a huge wave that cascades across the space in 2 dimensions and then starts to unfurl further into smaller and smaller wavelets until, in fact, it kind of evaporates into a gas, where in a gas all the atoms are buzzing around in a fairly random way and it's very incoherent. And then, if you're patient, that incoherence will start to become coherent again. You'll start to see little waves and patterns moving through, both up and across and in both dimensions. And then finally those will build to a huge wave, really a 41-foot long wave that finally then comes back into synchronization back to the solid state. It's also a little bit about the difference between science and the experience of what science describes. So the piece is full of squares and rectangles and right angles, which are very much Cartesian, sort of scientific, but the behavior of the piece is very organic and very sensual in a sense. So for me, science is interesting because it links that sort of mathematical space to the lived reality we have. So the piece kind of plays between those things as well.